Supergirl. Yes, Seth Rogen is in the movie. Obviously, why wouldn't he be? Guys, I just got done watching this movie, and I'm not gonna lie, my hype levels, if 10 out of 10 hype is I was pissing myself with excitement, and 1 is I would rather game over myself than watch this film, I'd give it like a 6, like a, like a eh. And that's not to say that, I don't like Supergirl. I guess, I don't know. I feel like I could count the amount of Supergirl fans, like, Supergirl's my favorite character of all time. I could count those fans on one hand. Probably would use like half the hand. That was until they announced the comic it was based off of, The Woman of Tomorrow, an incredible comic that I have read and absolutely adore. It is a beautiful story about grief, loss, moving on. It is so good. You need to read it. Even if you watch this film and you're like, this was the worst thing I've ever seen, go read the comic. It is that good. Also, Lobo, my boy. Yeah, obviously I need to be there for that. Let's get into the positives. Millie Alcock herself does an incredible job. She's a perfect comic counterpart. Now, a lot of people are not going to be familiar with this version of the character. This is a very depressed character. She's an alcoholic. She watched her entire home planet wither away. So she goes from planet to planet with red suns. Red suns mean that Kryptonians can like feel things. They're basically just normal people. And she goes to these planets just to drink herself into a tizzy. The only family she has is her dog and her cousin Clark. And you feel her acting. There are so many very tense moments where she's, whether she's talking about her backstory or she's talking about the reason that she's planet hop and doing all this crap, and her acting comes through for those very tense moments. I loved all of that. I will say her drunk acting could use some work, but that's also just a pet peeve of mine. There are very few movies where someone pretends to be drunk where I'm like, they look drunk. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were drunk on set. Millie Alcock has to do that for like a third of the film, and every time she had to pretend to be drunk, I was like, not buying it. Second positive, all scenes with Lobo. Any worries I had with that character are gone. Similar to Mr. Terrific in the Superman film, you see him for like 3 scenes. He's not in a lot of the film. He is not a main character in the film. It is kind of more just an expanded cameo. I would not be surprised if he was just in the first bar scene and then that was it. And then they were like, all right, get out. And then all of a sudden they see people reacting to Jason Momoa as Lobo, and they're like, crap, come back in. We got to get a couple more scenes with you. Because he doesn't really affect the plot that much. However, when he is in the scene, it makes the scene. At the end of the day, I simply need a Lobo movie. Third point, the designs, the sets, the characters, the aliens, all of the different pieces of the film. I gotta give those guys credits. These aliens themselves, like Supergirl's in this bar at the beginning of the film. There's this like ugly blob that like wants to dance with her. There's this guy that steals Ruthie's sword. All of their designs are like insanely well done. All of the different like little wires and bug-like features on a whole bunch of them. You see so many different variants. There's only a couple, like there are these like pirate tech aliens. I thought they looked like horrendous garbage. Like very, very, very cheap Spirit Halloween costumes. The rest of them, though, were like 10 out of 10. So I don't know where the sudden 1 out of 10s came from. That was very odd. But especially in, there's a certain planet, I forget what it's called, but it's where the bar scene takes place. That entire planet, every nook and cranny, is filled to the brim with grungy aliens of different designs. Super well done. Unfortunately, that is where a lot of my praise comes to an end. After leaving the theater, I couldn't put my finger on it. The one specific thing, what exactly can I summarize this movie's issues with? And then I realized, it's the script. The entire script is essentially based off of, like I said before, the comic Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Again, an amazing read. However, the issue with the script is that the woman who wrote this, for some reason, thought that this 10 out of 10 guidebook to the perfect Supergirl movie, she could change that. And, well, I don't want this, so we're going to do this instead. And I kid you not, every single change, if it is not in the comic book and it is in the film, it's terrible. There are so many little design changes and little story changes, and each one is worse than the last. And granted, don't get me wrong, I totally get it. There's only so many things you can do from a book. It's a massive book, right? They go to like 20 million different planets. You can't have that in a film without it feeling rushed. You know, it's going to end up like Mario the movie, where it's a nothing burger plot, and you're just skipping from point to point to point to point to point. That's fine. I'm glad they didn't do that. I think the amount of planets that they're on is perfectly fine. That's perfect, all right? It's all the other little changes. What you did with Krem, what you did with Crypto, what you did with the ending, especially, that just kind of pisses me off, my boys. Krem is one of the biggest issues. We took him from this pretty boy, Kingsman type guy to this grungy pirate that abducts 13-year-old girls? Okay, I see. Emotional manipulation is what we're going with. Oh, okay. Like, if I'm writing a story lazily, right, and I have a villain, and I need you as the audience to hate that villain, what'll I do? I got it. Make him a pedophile. I got it. Have him shoot a dog. Now, don't get me wrong, him shooting Crypto, that is in the comics, but it's earned. It's earned in the comics. By the end of the book, the ending of the comic book is so satisfying with how they wrap things up with Supergirl's motif, with Krem, with Ruthie, with everything. The ending of this, there's nothing to it. So Krem and his pirate gang, they kidnap little girls to be their brides for no reason. It's not in the comic. It's literally just added so that way you, as a dumb audience member, sit there and you go, what? That's crazy. It's emotional manipulation. If I wanted a character and I wanted you to feel sad for the character, I'd give her cancer. It's lazy writing. That's all it is. You don't get brownie points because you made me sad when the dog was hurt. Yeah, I'm sad when the dog is hurt. It's just a cheap way to get you to feel something when there's nothing there. It's all surface level. I have to go back to the bride thing. It's so stupid and pointless. An incredibly ridiculous, okay, we have this incredibly ridiculous part of the finale where, I kid you not, if you've seen Blue Beetle, does anyone remember the part where the freaking grandma comes out of nowhere and she like shoot, I forget exactly what happens, but she like shoots and everyone's like, Grandma? And she's like, there's no time for crying. It's that. The brides escape from the ship and they're in the final battle and they shoot like one bad guy. The camera pans over. You're thinking it's gonna be like Lobo or something. Oh my gosh, who just saved Ruthie's life or whoever was about to get shot? Oh my gosh, it's 3 little girls. Like, bro, my guy, no one asked for that. You're checking off boxes. I can tell. It's so obvious. And this is the same woman that's writing the Wonder Woman movie. You know, there's other women writers out there that are far superior. You could easily pluck one of them, throw her at Wonder Woman. It would be amazing. It would be fantastic. I am convinced if this woman that wrote Supergirl writes Wonder Woman, it's going to be Wonder Woman 84 Part 2. Okay? It's going to be bad. Okay, now aside from that, getting into the more specific things. So I understand Lobo's not in the comic a ton. I did want a lot more of him because, again, he was just such a fun part of the film. For Ruthie, I think we needed something a little closer to the comics. She just came across as a little bit whiny, while in the comics she's like a badass, like little tiny warrior, and it's fun. We don't really get that here. Finally, big spoilers. All right, big spoilers. I'm putting it up now. Skip to the end. Okay, here I'll tell you my score before that. This is a 6 out of 10. Okay, so you can close it now if you don't want spoilers. Okay. All right. Supergirl kills Krem. That's right. She preaches the whole film about not killing people to Ruthie. In fact, Supergirl ends up getting this little girl, the other little girl, killed. Because Ruthie has this chance to kill Krem. But Supergirl decides that it is more important to save Ruthie from killing Krem, so that way she doesn't have the mental whatever of killing someone, which, sure, that's fine. Yeah, that is in Supergirl's, sort of motif. But not in the sense that it would then result in a little girl being murdered. What? And then at the end, she kills Krem. Like, Ruthie's about to do it for the second time, and she's like, don't do it, it'll mess you up. And then Ruthie's like, all right, fine. I will not do it. It's a big moment for Ruthie. And then Supergirl stabs him in the neck. What? The hypocrisy. You basically just stole her Fortnite kill. What is this? It's just so insane. And she stabs him, and she's like, this stab is for Crypto. But again, spoiler alert, Crypto doesn't die. Yeah, it's understandable she'd be pissed. She shouldn't kill the guy over it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And then she stabs him in the neck and is like, this is for that little girl you killed. You caused her to die. The reason she is dead is because of you. You could have saved her. You stopped her from killing him. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand where they thought this is a good idea. Because again, in the comic, and I hate to keep bringing this up because I know that it's such a like, the fuck is better. I get it, but it is. All right. But it's like little things that are better, right? In the comic, they don't kill Krem. They get him like imprisoned in the, I forget exactly where, the Phantom Zone or something. It's been a while since I've read the book. But they imprison him, and then years later, he is so like sorry for what he's done. He's begging on his hands and knees for forgiveness. That would have just been better. It would have simply been better. Because then we see that Supergirl's not a hypocrite. She didn't kill anyone. And the story ends in a satisfying way where they both learn a little something. But at the end of the film, Supergirl's like, you've really made me a better person, Ruthie. It's like, what are you talking about? You just murdered a guy. It doesn't make any sense. Look, the movie has its bright spots. It really does. The casting director did great. The actors themselves do a great job for what is there. And the sets themselves are fantastic. The alien design's so good, but the writing, the changes to the story, all of it is done much better in a comic book. Just read the comic. It's a fine movie. It's okay, but it has so many problems at the end of the day. So you know what? I actually lied before. I'm not going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 5. It's an average movie I'm going to forget about. I don't want to watch it again. And unfortunately, I hope they give the next film, especially the Wonder Woman film, to a different writer. There are much better female writers out there, and this one just does not cut it. She had a cheat sheet. She had a literal 10 out of 10 cheat sheet right in front of her, yet she decided to make it worse. So I can't respect that. It's an average movie. It's a 5. With that said, what did you guys think? Am I crazy for even giving it a 5, or am I stupid for giving it as low as a 5? Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the film, and I'll see you in the next review for Minions and Monsters. See you then.